Hello, people of the internet. I think today what we're going to talk about is probably one of my biggest pet peeves. The word I can't. How many times have you been in a meeting, creative meeting, client meeting, whatever? You guys are bouncing ideas back and forth with each other. Everybody's in the same room, everybody's on the same page, super open, lots of ideas flowing back and forth, creative this and creative that. And then there's always seems to be one person in the meeting every single time that starts to take away from the flow. They start to go in on themselves and they start thinking there's just no way we can do this. And so they start verbalizing that and they start coming out going, I don't think we can do that. And I don't think we can do this. No, we can't do that. And what happens in those conversations? What happens to that creative that was flowing? 9 times out of 10, the creative completely falls apart because what they do is they step back, they start scaling everything back, they start reverting, and they start taking away from any of the out of the box thinking or any of the really great ideas that they were having or contemplating ideas or character development or scene development or whatever that they were doing at the time. They stop thinking about all that stuff, and what do? They start thinking about the technical aspects of a project. There's no way we can do this. You know, we don't have enough. We don't have enough people to do this. We don't have enough technical know-how to do this. We don't have this. We don't have that. We can't do this. And so those meetings that could be super fruitful, that could be full of life and fun and energy, just completely falls on its face. And I've been in so many meetings like that, and it just eats me up, man, because there's some really good takeaways from those meetings that you could have, but there's those simple phrases, we can't, I can't, you can't, that just make these meetings just fall apart because people's walls go up. You know, once somebody steps into that meeting and everybody's bouncing ideas back and forth with each other, once that first person steps up and they put their wall up and they go, nope, can't do that, then everybody else does the same thing. They stop being free and open and all these ideas, they just completely close up. And so some of the things that I've actually used to help me get through that process, I go through the same things you guys go through. I say I can't all the time, but I do it in my mind. I constantly in my own mind, I'm like, there's just no way I can figure this out. There's no way we can do this. But I'm never going to verbalize that in front of the client because I know in my mind, my first reaction is to go, oh no. So I just step back. I look at the entire thing. I continue through the process. I continue bouncing ideas back and forth. I continue doing that thing. And then what I do is I step back, I go to my computer and I start brainstorming. Start figuring out what might be the best solution for that. I start going through this process. I start writing this thing down. I start playing on the computer here. I start doing these little experiments, these little things that might work out. And what I do is I start passing ideas back and forth to the client. Because most of the time I found is that the client has these ideas and they have these things, they have these plans and whatever, and you see them one way and that client sees it completely different. And so what I see in my mind that might be a technical hurdle that I might not be able to fix, that I would have stepped into that meeting and completely stopped it, is not what the client's seeing. They're seeing something completely different. And so me bouncing ideas back and forth with those guys and getting some reference and some things and some experiments back and forth with them, they come back to me and they're like, that's not what we were looking for. But these experiments are fantastic. This is exactly what we're looking for. So the things that technically I thought that I wasn't going to be able to do are now right in my wheelhouse because that's stuff that I was already hashing out as ideas and experiments and brainstorms. So I think a lot of times we just need to just take a moment, step back, take a breath, look at the process as a whole, and just go through it. Don't panic. Because I get it. Sometimes the client's going to come to you and they're going to be like, hey, we need these fluids. We need this fluid. We need this, thing that you don't do, right? Like I don't do fluids, right? So a client comes to me and they're like, hey, we want this fluid. I don't know how to do fluids. I can't do fluids, right? Like that's how you would think. But maybe I know somebody that does. Maybe somebody else next to me knows how to do fluids, or maybe can get me up to speed to get me there. So that way I could do fluids, right? There also is the big chance that maybe they want fluids for a reason that they don't actually need fluids. maybe you should ask some questions. Why are you looking for some fluids? Why are you doing these things? Whatever. It could come down to they just wanted something cool. Maybe they saw a Nike ad that had some really cool fluid stuff, right? That might not solve their problem. So maybe you can come up with some other solutions. Maybe there's some other creative that's in there that was never explored because all they saw was, oh, I want fluids. And so you can go through the process with them and help them see it a little bit differently, and that could fit right in your wheelhouse. So I think when you look at these processes and you look at these things and these client meetings and stuff, enjoy that process, man. Like these processes are some of the best parts of this job. Like sitting down in the meeting and just writing things down and bouncing ideas back and forth should not be a stressful time. It shouldn't be something that you dread or fear. You should be able to go in there and just bounce ideas. And then once you get out of those meetings, then you can figure out some of the technical aspects. Or maybe you need to bring on somebody or get somebody else to freelance for this area of the project while you lead it. Those are things that you can think about after you've went through the process of hashing all these things out or starting the first phases of bouncing stuff. Instead of just coming out and immediately taking your gut reaction, which would be the same reaction I have, which is, I can't do that. That's not going to solve anybody's problem. It's not going to solve their problem. It's not going to help you solve their problem. And so I think just look at it a little bit differently. Take the time to talk with other creatives. That's what we're here for. All of us have been through different places in our career, and we all have different aspects on how we handle situations like that. And so when you run into a situation like that, maybe ask your creative next to you. Maybe ask your CD or your AD or somebody else that that's in this field, because we're all in this together. That's why I started this YouTube channel. That's why I do these videos, so that way we can talk. We can go back and forth with these ideas and these thoughts about how to solve these problems and go through this stuff with these clients or with ourselves. And so make sure that you share, you comment, subscribe. We need that stuff. I need that stuff. I need to see your comments or at least your emails or something, so that way we can learn together. We can grow together, and we can help each other progress through this field. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a good rest of the day.